Okay, press releases. We've all heard about them, but what the heck are they? When to use them, when not to use them. In this video, we're gonna break it all down. So, Lydia, what is a press release?
So, a press release is essentially an announcement. It's something where you want the masses to know what is happening. Something I will mention about press releases is it's not traditional, I would say like organic press where you're pitching somewhere and asking them to, interview you or something like that. This is a release that is getting distributed directly from the brand.
I'm just gonna plug this here because one of the biggest things we get asked is when and when not to use them. So at the end of the video, we're gonna talk through that. So just like make sure you stay until then. And in our course, we also have like a template for you. But the biggest thing that I notice about press releases is it's a statement of fact. Like something has happened. There's a launch. Maybe you have a new product. Maybe you've been acquired by another company or you changed to like B Corp status. It's something there's a cause and effect kind of thing. It's not just, I have a new like coaching program, blah, 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 blah. There is a statement of fact, and that's when you would use a press release because you want to communicate statement of fact to the general public and you want it to be distributed to them or to
Exactly.
editors, writers, other people within the press industry.
Yes, exactly. So we're going to go through the best formula to use today. Let's just get into it. So when we are thinking about writing the press release, number one, you're going to want to think about the title. So when we are announcing it, what are we going to put in this title? I would say it's very clear, factual, and to the point. I would also mention your brand name. So whatever the brand name is, it's like brand is launching X, Y, and Z, or it is brand is announcing X, Y, and Z. Brand is announcing partnership with X, Y, and Z. So it's very like business oriented. I think there is a place for you to add more personality and fun and angles. And that's more within your pitches, which is the organic press that we talk about all the time, writing to a writer, and then they want to cover you and they feature it in a magazine. Like this is different. This is the distribution, right? So we're creating a very factual statement which can also be used for a lot of different things. It can be used if you're going to speak to investors. It can be used in a pitch itself, saying like, you can, pitch like a company and say like, we just got B Corp status. Here's a link to the press release. If you want to learn more, X, Y, and Z, right? So you can use it for a lot of different things, but we want it to be very factual. So then we're going to move to the actual body. You want to introduce further the announcement, whatever that is. So I would start with, you always want to start with where the brand is located. So for us, for example, we're in Florida. So we'll say like Delray Beach, Florida, the date. So October 22nd is today, 2025. And then we will say visibility on purpose is launching blah, 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 blah in partnership with blah, blah, blah. Okay, that is the introduction. Very short. And each paragraph is what, Bridget? Like 2 to 3 sentences max?
Oh yeah, like this is not more than a page, my friends. Like this is this is not a biography. This is one page.
Correct, correct. When we're thinking about like resumes too, like you want to keep it one page, right? So we want to keep this one page. Now, in the next paragraph, we want to either expand a little bit more in the introduction or provide quotes. Quotes are really important because this is where the founder can give their 2 cents and can speak on whatever the announcement is. So, for example, say it's a launch, a really great strategy for a quote would say something about the background of the company and why they think this product is aligned with their mission. If there is a collaboration, the quotes there can be more than one quote. Say there's 2 companies involved. Each one can give their take on the collaboration and their excitement on it. So you want to include quotes because they can also serve as quotes for a publication to maybe even cover the press release, whether they want to republish it or maybe they see it and they want to pull those direct quotes and link to the press release. So I always say quotes are really important. Now, as we are continuing down the page, you want to continue going into the depth of the announcement, talk about the company a little bit more, and then you always want to add at the end for more information. visit here. So whether that be your social media, whether that be your website, whatever it is that you want to call out, then a little like blurb about the brand. And you will see this in every single press release on the internet. So I would even like suggest going to PR Newswire or one of the big distribution sites and taking a look at other releases, but you will see this template over and over and over again. This is the formula, right? And so at the end, you're going to say about visibility on purpose, for example, and then it'll be a paragraph or two about the brand. You always want to finish off the press release with your press contacts. This can be you yourself if you're DIYing it or your PR team. And so that's kind of it. It's super simple, very much intro, quotes, more in depth about the company, the announcement about the brand, and that's really it. Now, these we want to get into when to use them and when not to use them because there have been so many questions around this. I think a lot of companies too think the only way press happens is through press releases. And so there's a lot of confusion around press in general. It's not uncommon for us to get approached by a startup and say, okay, I'm going to write a press release. And then we're like, hey, what are we doing here?
Right. I actually think people think PR means press release.
No,
Like
yeah, you're
if
right.
someone if someone doesn't know, I mean, hey, it
I
does
get it.
sound it's the same initials, whatever, but it doesn't. I think a press release is part of your overall PR strategy, but it's not the same. It's really used in certain case and point when you have to announce something. So one of the biggest questions I think, well, a couple of questions we get. Is a press release free? Do I have to pay for it? There are both options. There are now platforms like Quoted, so you can see the link in the description of the video if you want to learn more about that, but you can actually release a press release for free or they have a paid option. And in all cases, there's kind of free and paid options. Paid, you're probably going to get wider distribution. So if that's something that's important to you, maybe you go that route, but doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so if you're a big company, and by big, I mean you are already not like a household name, but you're like approaching in that direction. Maybe you are sold at major retailers. Maybe you've had a lot of press in the past. I think a distributed through one of like the big wire systems, like PR Newswire, can be valuable. So, for example, I recently signed on a company for my own like PR agency that has a lot of brand partnerships with celebrities. They are sold in a lot of online retailers and in stores. And they are in like the beverage space. And so for them, they just got certified B Corp status. That's a big deal for a big beverage company. So we did send a press release through The Wire, PR Newswire. I will say though, they are pricey. So I would weigh the pros and cons of, is this important for me to get this information out there? What is this going to do for me in the long run? So if you do have investors, it could be important to get this information out there, whatever it is that you're announcing or launching. The price point does, not going to sugarcoat it, does vary. It's typically a few $1,000s and it can add up very quickly. So that's another reason why we say keep the information short because sometimes word count can boost the price. Pictures can boost the price. So there are free options though to share this. And so here's an example of a company that maybe doesn't have the I guess brand awareness yet, but it still makes sense to create a press release and distribute it out there. So say you are a brand that is still a startup, maybe you're releasing a new product line, but you have that like kind of mid-level exposure already going for you. I would say writing one to send to writers and ask them if they want to learn more about the launch in a press release could be really powerful. This is where I was talking about like those quotes can be cool, where maybe they can pull some quotes and create a story for you. And there's also some free places like Bridget had mentioned. So you can go on Quoted. Quoted is a paid service, but it's so freaking worth it. It's only like a few, like $100 a year. I think it's like,
Check the link below in the
check the link.
description of the video for the
Yeah.
exact details on pricing.
Yes, exact details on pricing, but it is so affordable for what you get. I mean, you get direct inquiries from writers that are looking for very specific things. So it's kind of like, I want to say like a LinkedIn for the media. So you can release it there, and then you can also release on different websites like bevnet.com for beverage companies. They have a free area where you can post your press releases. So I would say, again, weigh the pros and cons. If you have any questions for us, you can always comment below. We are happy to answer them. But when is it not great, Bridget, to write a press release?
We used to work with a lot of coaches who have,
Yeah.
services online. I do not think a program launch is justifiable for a press release. That just doesn't really make
Yeah.
sense. That's really where you want to lean into more of your marketing, maybe advertising channels. I wouldn't say that's like press release worthy. We love your program, but I just don't think that would be the best point. If you are an author, I do think that's a great time to actually release a
Yeah.
press release. That might not get picked up by a million writers, but I think it's good to have on the internet as well. And it's funny, Lydia, as we were sitting here, I was doing my whole like Jamie Joe Rogan thing. I was researching something.
Oh, yes.
We recently interviewed, Lydia recently interviewed Jill Brand of Pvolve, who had a collaboration and partnership with Jennifer Aniston. And I was like, I guarantee they had a press release. So I looked it up on Google while we were sitting here, and they had a couple. PR Newswire, this one says Pvolve and Jennifer Aniston launch Strength Defined Challenge to kick off 2025. So, like, they had some press releases around the collaborations they were doing together. And again, you can see it was very detailed, very factual. Pvolve and Jennifer Aniston launch new strength campaign, like
Yeah.
literally to the point. So, that's a time where you would use it. There are also times where you wouldn't use it and you want to lean more into marketing and sales.
100%. I will add one more instance where I don't think it makes sense, and I have heard this one a lot. Events. Events are not a great time to announce a press release because it's not something ongoing. An event is something that's like a blip in time. And so I think the best way to market events is exactly what Bridget was just talking about, utilizing marketing, utilizing advertising. You can also go to local news sites in your area, and there's typically areas to post events. So that's another way that you can kind of like get press or get online exposure that is free, and it serves kind of the same purpose, but it's not, events just live in a different area of press. So the best way to do that is capitalize on the local publications or the local news sites, marketing and advertising.
I love that. And last but not least here, how do we distribute? So there are a number of sites online like PR Newswire, which Lydia shared. We also have a bunch of them in our DIY PR course. So if you want to learn
Yeah.
more that you can upload your press release to, some have free and paid options. Again, we mentioned quoted. So there are many different ways that you distribute your press release. And the idea there is it's going to live on the internet, right? So it's going to be searchable if someone types in your brand. It's also going to be helpful if a writer wants to pick up that story. It could give them an idea. It's not to say that that's guaranteed at all because the writer needs to be interested in that or have their publication be interested in that, but that's kind of like an idea of why they can be helpful. So that's distribution for you. This was when and when not to use a press release. We went over our template. Again, if you want more information on this, we have an entire template in our DIY PR course. So it might be a great chance for you to actually go there and take a look at how we would do this if we were your publicist.
And last but not least, please like, subscribe, and comment. We love hearing from you, and this allows us to continue giving you this free content about PR, marketing, entrepreneurship, and advertising.
Thank you guys so much. Talk to you soon.